Welcome to Belief, Being, and Beyond with your host, Granddaughter Crow. Anyway, hi everybody, Granddaughter Crow here, and today we have a wonderful guest here on Belief, Being, and Beyond. We have Elohim Leafar, Elohim
Yeah,
Leafar, beautiful.
Elhoim,
Elohim Leafar.
perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very close. It's more than enough. I work with many people in many different languages. Everybody gives me a different interpretation of my name. I'm just used to from very child because my grandpa was a Turkish, he was Jewish, and from there it comes my name. He tried to write, he made some changes in the name. He changed one letter of place because he wanted, when I born in Venezuela, where we talk Spanish and a bit of Portuguese, he wanted people who were able to pronounce the name how all Jewish culture pronounce the name. So he just changed the letter. But all my life, everybody's like giving me a different accentuation of the word. So everybody just put me Elo, L, everybody just give me a different name. And that's really okay by me.
I love it. I love it. Well, you can call me Granddaughter Crow, or I'll just call you Ello and you call me
Yeah,
Judy C.
yeah, you're my sister. You know that.
I love it. So let me give everybody a little bit quick intro. So, author not only of Dream Witchery that is out, which we're going to get into, but also an astrologer, dowser, tarot reader, and urban spiritual worker from Venezuela. And
Yeah,
this and very much initiated into traditional Venezuelan spiritualism, which
yeah.
is amazing.
Super young.
Yeah. So, you guys, Dream Witchery, this book is folk magic, recipes, and spells from South America for witches and brujas. The beauty around this book is not just this, but that there are a lot of different books out there that talk about dreams, and then maybe they'll reflect on South America and add little things in there. But Ello is actually, this is the first book that I am aware of that comes straight to us with that South American spiritualism to talk about not just
Yeah.
dreams, but the world of dreams that I want to dip into each of those. And so thank you for, I mean, from what I understand, you've been in the States, what, 8 years now?
8 years, almost nine.
And you came in not fluent in speaking English.
No, I started learning English in 2019 because I was living in the Bronx. So I didn't have like the need to talk in English. Everybody was talking to me in Spanish. Everybody was Puerto Rican, Cuban, Dominican, from Nicaragua, from Guatemala, from El Salvador, from all of these countries. So everybody talks Spanish with a different accent. I didn't have the need to learn English. Then in 2019, I take it seriously. Like I should learn the language because I'm publishing books in English, which are translated with a professional and with my husband helping me. So maybe I should get on this. I start taking classes. Then the lockdown happens, and I have a whole year to practice at home.
Oh, so but this book is most, I mean, it's, you do have some Spanish in here, but if I were to learn a new language 5 years ago, I wouldn't have the ability to write a whole entire book in that new
This is my
language.
first book wrote in English. That's something that every book has always a different story. because every time that you're planning a book is what that will make that book different to everything else that is in the market, right? Because we have a very competitive market and every book has something special in it. Even sometimes you find books that they are all talking the same thing, but every book gives you something new, something different, a different taste. And when I was writing on this one, in the moment that I sit down to write, my goal was trying to make it all in English. So I have all of these like different documents with information in Spanish and Portuguese. I just translate a bit and then I try to give the whole history of the book in English. That was the process, was trying to make it in English, but try to keep it organic, try to keep it Hispanic, try to keep it native, try to keep it indigenous. So I try to keep the words, even a lot of the words in there that are still in Spanish or Portuguese are because are words that sometimes they lost the significance with the translation. So for me, it was important. If the person who's reading this don't understand the word, I rather that the person looks for a dictionary and understand the context of the word than just giving them a grown translation because that happens a lot.
Yes.
So a lot of part of the book continue having words in indigenous language because I have the blessing to born and grow up in the Amazonas, which people here knows as the Amazon. And you know, when you interact with so many indigenous communities and with so many tribes, and you learn so many things of them,
Yeah.
translating their language feels very complicated, very like rough in some way. So I just try to keep the essence in there for respect to them because there are many words that you can just simply like translate. It's like I always joke about it with my co-workers and with other people about when we are trying to translate something from English to Spanish or to Portuguese. Okay, I don't have the translation for this word. And sometimes happens that I just find words in English that you can translate to another language. Like going forward, if you translate it to Spanish, it's something entirely different that you need to give people a whole context. So every time that I'm talking with somebody and it's so an English speaker and a Spanish speaker in the table, and they say going forward, people who talk Spanish, they're like, what that means? So I need to, oh, continue doing what are you doing in that direction, don't lose your north, yada, yada, because it's something very characteristic of the English language, because every language is bonded to an entire different culture.
Yes.
Something that we have in the indigenous communities that we don't have a lot of writing language, because most they go to school, they learn Spanish or they learn Portuguese if they are if you are close, if you are in the Amazon, if you are close to Venezuela or Colombia, they teach you in Spanish. If you are close to Brazil, they teach you in Portuguese, and you just talk indigenous language in your home. So when you try to write down some words, everybody write the same words in a different way.
Love it. You know, not to get too off track, but when under the shutdown, I play a little game on my phone, and I was invited to be a part of this group, and they were all living in Brazil. And
Yeah,
so I had to try to pick up on understanding how to speak Portuguese for a little bit. I'm not saying I know how, but it would be so much fun because they would then try to say, oh, well, let's talk English for her. And I'm like, no, no, no. Let me
exactly.
speak Portuguese, bom dia, all
Yeah,
of those little things. So it's so beautiful of a language. So I think it's just really funny that when you started learning English, I started trying to learn Portuguese, but
yeah.
I can't speak Portuguese as well as you can speak English.
It's because it's a very complex language. When we talk about the Spanish, Portuguese, our languages have so many words. We have many more words than English. English is a more practical language. We have this kind of Hispanic joke that English is teached worldwide because it's easier to learn, which is not totally true. It's not so easier because the form how you move the tongue, which is a whole muscle in your body,
Yeah.
how you move it is entirely different. So the accentuation of the words hits different in your mouth when you have months talking in English. After some time, you start feeling like all of this area of your face is like feeling heavy because you are exercising muscles in ways that you never using before. In Spanish and Portuguese, we have many more words to describe situations. That's why when you find a text in Spanish or Portuguese and you use any translator on the internet to translate it to English, you see that the text is smaller because English is very practical in the language. It's not so descriptive, you don't have so much context. You just give a word or two words to people and they just know what are you saying. In Spanish or even in Portuguese, which is even more complex, you give a whole explanation of the situation. This reminds me, this is a moment very funny in The Lord of the Rings, this film, and my husband is obsessed with that. We rewatch the whole trilogy every year for the past 14 years. And it's this very comic moment when the trees are having a conversation between them to see if they can go and make some kind of coup against the bad magician. And when they are talking, they spend hours and days talking. And when they go back to the Hobbit says, okay, and you say this? Oh no, I just was explaining the intro of the situation. Because our language is very old and takes us a lot to explain because, you know, they don't have so many words, so they need to over-explain the situation so everybody can get in the same position. And in Spanish and Portuguese, it's something like that. We need to over-explain everything because our language, different from English, when we talk about the Spanish, first we have two different Spanish. We have the Spanish on Spain, which have a European accentuation and a very strong influence from the Portuguese from Portugal, which is not the same Portuguese from Brazil. And when we talk about Latin America Spanish, the Spanish that you talk in Mexico, in Cuba, in Ecuador, in Guatemala, in Venezuela, in any country, all of these have different accents, different words that you can translate to another language. Our food is different, our culture is different. And while closer you are to Brazil, more words in Portuguese you have. Also, if you are in South America, historically we were colonized for Portugal, Italy, and Spain. So we have a lot of that culture blended and mixed in our language. And when you are trying to talk with a Mexican person, you continue talking in Spanish, but there are many words that we are like, what did you just say? And we are talking in the same language, but I don't understand you 100%. I understand you like 80, 90%.
Gotcha. I love it. I love it. So, with your book, Dream Witchery, you guys have to get this book. Not only is it about dreams, but it is about dreams from a pure, original South American brouhaha. And so I would like for you to give us, because I love what you do in the book. I got through a lot of it, but not all of it. I'm looking forward to finishing it though. But you describe dreams.
It's a big book. It's 400 pages. Yeah.
I know. This is like two of my books. It's a big book. So, describing dreams, you kind of refer to dreams in a different way than what an English speaker in America would see.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just a dream. You talk about dreams sometimes as a train station or sometimes as the internet action, internet for
Yeah.
connections. Could you give us a little deeper explanation of dreams?
Yeah, so this is what happens with this book. I want first of all, thanks to Llewellyn Worldwide for accepting the book because this manuscript was rejected for practically everybody because no publishing house wanted. Everybody was like, "This is too complicated. We need something like more new age and less complex because people want to just go directly to the spells. This is too much."
Wow.
And Llewellyn Worldwide was like, "Give me the book. It's complex. We want it." And the thing about this book is uh, I grew up in a place where I was fortunate to have contact and constant interactions with so many different people, with so many different religions, different tribes, and all of them have this complexity of thoughts and traditions related with dreams. The Arawaks, the Guayos, the Guajiros, the Yanomamis, all of these different tribes, they share this ideology, an indigenous ideology, even when they have different gods and different deities and different religions and different pantheons, they all share the perspective that dreams is something that gets you to your ancestors. They have certain things in common. For all of the tribes in Amazon, the dreams are related with water. It's a lot of water. When you go inside of a dream, it's like going inside of a river. Just everything looks different, feels different, sounds are different. First of all, it's a lot of relation between the water, the river with the dreams. The second relation that they have is a lot of ancestry. It's important to remember when the slaves from Africa get into South America, they start to sharing contact, not willingly, but because they were forced with the indigenous slaves from South America. So you have two different cultures. All of them are slaves from the same people, the Spaniards, but the African slaves and the South American slaves, they share certain things in common. We are slaves, we are pagans, we have different languages, we believe in many gods, we believe in the rivers, we believe in the sky, we believe in all of these things. They have a lot of interactions in our folklore in the rivers. The rivers for us are so important in our culture because different to the Western perspective. In the Western culture, rivers, water, ocean, sea is something that separates one continent or one country from one to another. In the indigenous South American culture, rivers, water, or sea is a bridge that actually join the continents. It's something that don't separate us. All the contrary, give us the chance to connect with each other because you just make your ship and you can travel to that other continent, which without the water will be just another mountain in the world. But for the indigenous tribes, this was like the water connect us and connect our ancestors. And every time that you go close to the river or close to the sea, you are literally watching the direction of your ancestors in another continent, which is something very magical in our culture. And for them, every time that the slaves were crying in a river, washing the clothes or preparing the food or doing something in the river, their tears continue being in the river, all of the sadness, the religion, the spirituality, everything is blended in the river. So they find the river like a connection with the other world. And for them, having this like chance to just go to a river means that you don't need to go to a temple, a sanctuary, or a church to pray. Every time that you go to the river, you are washing your clothes in the same river where your grandpa and your grandma and your mom were also washing their clothes. So they have all of these certain connections in the different spiritualities in the indigenous tribes, and all of them have something in common, and it's the dreams. For them, the dreams is a place where you can connect with your ancestors. Every time that you dream, you go into the rivers of the other world. That is something that also the Greeks have in their culture. If you go to the Greek mythology, the Greeks have the Greeks people, they have all of this culture about when you die, is so many rivers in the Tartarus. And every river have a different function. This river, if you drink from this water, you will forget. If you drink from this other water, you will remember. If you drink from this other water, your soul die and stop to existing. All of these rivers have a different function. And the idea of having some kind of rivers in the other world is something that is shared worldwide in different pagan cultures. So every time that you are dreaming, the experience is like, oh, I'm underwater. Also, they have something very particular, especially in the Yanomami culture, the indigenous people from Venezuela and Colombia. When every time that a woman or a person with reproductive capacities have a baby, when the baby comes, it's very magical, yes, but also it's a lot of organic processing. There is a lot of anatomy things happening. It's a lot of water, peace, blood, a lot of fluids coming from the womb of the woman. And for the indigenous culture, this was something very, very mystical. This was like, oh, every time that the womb is open and the baby is coming out, is the river giving us back one of our ancestors through the body of the woman. And all of these fluids, the blood and the water coming from the womb of the woman, is something that belongs to the river. So we take all of that and we take it back to the river and we keep the baby, which is one of our ancestors coming back. So every time that they dream with an ancestor and someone was pregnant in the tribe, they think, oh, it's this ancestor who is coming back through this person who is the grandchild or the niece of that ancestor. And if you see all of this, everything is connected with two things, the rivers and the dreams. So when I was writing down the book, I was like, I'm doing a book on dreams magic, or I'm doing a book on ancestry, or I'm doing a book on water magic. I don't know what I am doing, but I'm doing all of this in a book. And I try to separate it like 3 books, but every time that I just go deeper in any chapter, I continue relating to the other one in the other book, and I try to keep them separate, and was literally impossible. It was like this, like you have 3 babies and they just want to stay together in the in the playroom. So I just blended again. After months of effort trying to keep them separate, I just blended again, and they blend perfectly. It was like every piece was together in this game. And I just feel like, oh, this chapter goes with this one, this chapter goes with this one. Okay, all of this is connected. And when I mixed it, it was just taking me like 3 weeks, and everything fits so perfectly. So I just like, let me continue dive a little more on this. Let me refresh what things I could have forgotten about different cultures, because I had the chance to travel a lot. And that was many years ago. So I call my priest, I call my mom, I call the family of my grandma, I call my cousins who are still living in there. When you use this word, which is the context? When you pray to this deity, which is the context? When you go to this river, how is different this river from this other one? Because I remember when I was child, I go to this one, and this was very long conversations with all of them, reminding me of stuff like, you don't remember when we go to that river, you take that stone, and grandma told you take that stone, put it in the temple, and then we take that stone and throw it to the moon. Oh yeah, I remember all that story. Okay, all of that symbolized that all of us did in a certain point. Oh, I was doing a ritual and I didn't do it. Okay. And making the book was something like, not trying to do something, just trying to remember something that you have been learning for so many years. And what was more important for me was try to keep it how it is. Don't try to make it easier. Don't try to make it commercial. Don't try to make it easier to read. If people find it complicated, force them to read it again. But the idea is not, oh, let me share 300 years of culture and language in a silverware for you. No, no, no. This is how we do it. And for us, it's complex to learn. So I'm serving you in a better way, more comfortable to read, because you have it in pages. We didn't have that. We don't have books on that. Not in English, and believe me, not in Spanish. So having all of this was so complex, because also I had the chance to reread all of these old books that I put in the resources by bibliography of the book. That's why when you read the bio, you will find books in Spanish, in French, in Portuguese, in Guayo, in Arawak, in Guajiro, in Yanomami, in Timotocuica, in all of these languages. I had a chance to, okay, let me read this again, let me translate it. I send money to my mom. She sent me a lot of books back from when I was in high school, even books from my nephews, with all of these drawings, because like when you're growing in the United States, I don't know what people learn in the schools, but I know that you learn about the North American indigenous tribes, and you know which are the indigenous people of East Coast, West Coast, you know, all of these things. And when you grow in places like Venezuela or Colombia, it's the same. They teach you, these are the Timotocuicas, these are the Yanomamis, these are the Guajiros, these are the other ones, and the Araguas, and all of these cultures. And having that was like, okay, I need something like teachable for people. I don't need college books written for British people who just go to Amazonas one time a year. No, I need the school books that my nephews are taking, and my mom sent me all the books, and I just sit down to reread it. Oh, I remember this. Oh, I was in this place. Oh, I remember this story. And just trying to add it to the book, because I wanted that when people read it, they have a deep understanding of what I'm giving to you. Where is this place? Which is the context? who is the deity, how is the ritual, why is made, all of these different aspects in every chapter.
I love that. So Dream Witchery, you can get it wherever you get books on Amazon or on, wherever you get books. Um, this, just because of what you just said, this isn't just a book on dreams. This is a cultural something we need to carry in our libraries. This is something that we need to give to schools. It's something, I mean, I was listening to well, I was reading a part of it where you actually translated a certain spell, or and maybe you do it even more and I haven't gotten to it, but certain indigenous, South American indigenous spells that have never been written down, let alone in the English language. So this, I mean, this is a treasure. This really, really is
I,
a treasure.
I am so proud of this book, and I have made. I don't like to use the word followers. I have a lineup of readers who follows my work on social media, and a lot of my readers are Latin American descendants who lives in the United States. From the moment that I start my account on Instagram, living in the United States, for many people was like, "Oh, I have a person from South America who knows these things and talks my own language." Because many of these Latin American descendants, they born here, they grow up here, they speak a bit of Spanish, but they are not so connected with the ritualistic stuff. And I have all of these DMs every day from people from Peru, from Ecuador, from Colombia. I remember when my grandma did that. Oh, I remember when my uncle visited me 5 years ago and he did this with a glass of water. And I didn't knew that other people do it. And it was like, yeah, we all do it. It's like literally yesterday, I was talking with this friend. I was explaining to him about how we do the cleansing with eggs. And he was like, "Oh, I know this person from Peru who do that." And I'm like, "Yeah, in South America and Central America, we clean people with eggs because it's something that is fresh from the chicken, continuing certain way alive, and you use it to absorb the negativity from another person, and then you broke the egg in the glass of water, and you read the glass of water, and you see what is happening there." And he was like, "You are telling me exactly what she says to me 8 years ago." And I was like, "Yeah, because it's something that we grow up with our grandmas doing that. When you come from high school and you have a headache, your grandma is, maybe you have a eye. Let me take my egg," and they make a whole cleansing on you. Or the thing about cleaning with tobaccos, which is very different here in the United States. People here cleaning, people who learn to do cleansing with tobaccos. Here, they think that you just go to the market, you buy any tobacco, and you breathe it around the person. And for us, it's like, first, the tobacco can have nicotine. You need to find, very complicated here, a tobacco just made of tobacco leaves without any additives. You spray it 3 times in a way, then you turn it off, you spray it 3 times again, you light the tobacco, and you clean the person, and you use 3 tobaccos just for cleansing the space before to do the reading, because you can't read a person who is under some kind of course for conjuring. And after that, you do 2 or 3 more tobaccos and you end super exhausted. Your mouth is on fire. But that's our culture. It's how we grow up doing stuff. And that's why our magic is in certain way like so strange, but at the same time so powerful, because it's not easier to do. We don't care how tired we are at the end of the day. The client is doing well. That's the goal. If they are doing well, everything is okay. You will sleep a lot after that. And having the chance to put all of this about my culture in the book was very positive for me, very reaffirming like a Latin American person, because also it's so much about our Latin American culture that we have mixed, that it's beautiful to find that you have people from Nicaragua, from El Salvador, from Puerto Rico who relate with this, and they say, "Oh, my grandma did that, my mom did that, my dad did that." You find all of these connections with other people, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is what we do in our country." And like, yeah, I know, but it's fascinating giving people something that they can use, like finally have a book related to this, because when you come to the witch community, everybody's like, you need to read this book, you need to read Scott Cunningham, you need to read Raymond Buckland. I had never read the Blue Book of Raymond Buckland because I just read like the first 3 pages and I was like, I really don't understand anything of this. Feels like so odd for me because it's a very different culture. It's like too British, it's too structured. The way how it's writing is everything like, I don't like the way. I respect it like for a magician, that's perfect for you, but for me, it feels different, don't feel organic.
Yeah.
And in this book, in a certain way, now it's my personal consulting book. I literally, when I am with a client, I take the book from the shelter. Let me check on this, referring to myself.
Yes.
And that has been something very magical because finally I feel that even if it's writing for myself, I feel I finally have a guidance like I didn't have before. Because sometimes I think I wrote about this. Sometimes let me check. Oh yeah, this means this when you are dreaming with this or this stuff.
I love